Marrakesh is one of those cities that can feel magical one moment and completely overwhelming the next. It was our very first stop in Morocco and it taught us a lot within just a few days of our stay. Some travelers we met absolutely loved Marrakesh. Others couldn't wait to leave. And in this series of videos, I'll share what our impression was. Our stay in Marrakesh will be split into several short videos where I will show you how we got around, where we stayed, give you honest accommodation reviews, talk about what we saw nearby, and share plenty of practical tips along the way. Now, let's begin, and of course we will start with the airport. Menara Airport is the only airport in Marrakesh and it's quite easy to navigate. We didn't have any major issues there apart from the Wi-Fi. However, make sure that you have your address or proof of your accommodation in Marrakesh ready, as immigration officers will likely ask you for it. Also, keep in mind that drones are not permitted to be brought into Morocco without special permission, and they can be confiscated at the airport. After the passport control and collecting your luggage, you will need to sort out your money for getting into the city, and if necessary, buying a SIM card. You can only get Moroccan dirhams inside Morocco, so unless you've kept a few notes from your previous trip, if you've been to Morocco before, you'll need to exchange money at the airport or withdraw cash from the ATM. There is a currency exchange desk located right in front of the luggage conveyor belts, but as you can imagine, the exchange rate there is not very favorable and includes a high commission. For that reason, I recommend using the ATM, which is located very close to the final exit. Keep in mind that ATM fees at the airport can be higher than in the city, so it's best to withdraw only a small amount, just enough to pay for your transportation. Also remember, once you head towards the ATMs, you won't be able to return to the arrivals area. Speaking of that, at the time of our visit, there was one major drawback. All SIM cards were sold in the arrival area. This means that you're essentially forced to exchange at least some money at the airport currency exchange desk, since SIM cards shops only accept cash. If the airport's Wi-Fi works well for you, ours didn't, and you don't need internet immediately to get into the city, I would recommend not buying a SIM card at the airport. They are more expensive than in the city, and the data packages are often less flexible. However, if you do need to buy a SIM card straight away, you have three options: Maroc Telecom, Orange Morocco, and Inwi. All three are generally fine, and I was told that each has its own benefits and drawbacks. We personally chose Maroc Telecom, and it worked very well for us throughout our entire 30-day trip in Morocco. Now let's talk about transport. You've got a few options here, and I will start with the most expensive one. Option 1. You can arrange a private transfer from the airport in advance. There are quite a few services you can find online, and if you're not sure where to look, you can check the Get Your Guide website. This type of transfer can save you some stress, and it also means that you can withdraw your money and get a SIM card later in the city. The downside is, of course, the price. It usually costs around 200 Moroccan dirhams for 2 people, which is quite expensive for Morocco. So, unless you're traveling with a lot of luggage or simply don't want to deal with taxis at all, I would probably skip this option. The second choice is to take a taxi directly from the airport. This is the second most expensive option, and it can feel a bit contradictory, as taxi drivers there usually charge quite inflated prices. A few years ago, taxis at the Menara Airport used to be all over the place. The moment you stepped outside, the drivers would start shouting and trying to get your attention. The prices were already quite high, but they weren't fixed, and there was still a chance to negotiate and bring them down a little. But in recent years, these prices have been legalized, and an official taxi office has been set up. You can now see exactly how much you are expected to pay based on the number of passengers and the distance. Prices start from around 100 Moroccan dirhams. For some of you, this might not seem like a lot, especially if you are used to paying similar prices in your home country. But whenever I say in any of my videos that something is expensive, I mean that it is expensive by Moroccan standards. Third option, and this is the option we chose. You can take a taxi from the main road a bit further from the airport. When you leave the Menara Airport and turn left, just keep walking straight until you reach the main road where most cars are driving. There are plenty of taxis in Marrakesh looking for passengers. You'll see them all the time, so you have a good chance of negotiating a lower price. First of all, ignore all drivers who ask for anything more than 60 Moroccan dirhams for 2 people. That's expensive. Often, they don't even care where exactly they're driving you, they'll just say a random high price that comes to mind. We skipped a few taxis with inflated prices, but eventually found one that agreed to take us to the city center for 30 Moroccan dirhams in total. That being said, when taking a taxi from the road, always make sure to confirm whether the price is for all passengers together, not per person. Option number 4. ALSA shuttle bus, line 19. The fourth option is the official public shuttle bus that connects Menara Airport with the city center and several key stops around Marrakesh. It used to go through this route, and I believe it still does. The buses run daily from around 6 a.m. until approximately 11:30 p.m., although I would be quite cautious with the very early and late departures. Buses typically arrive every 30 minutes during these hours. The bus stop is located just outside the arrivals terminal. Simply follow the signs for the bus 19 or ALSA shuttle. It's usually right next to the taxi office. The price is 30 Moroccan dirhams per person for a one-way ticket, or 50 for a round-trip ticket if used within 2 weeks. Tickets are usually purchased directly on board and must be paid for in cash. The good news is that you can also pay in euros. It is 3 euros per person. This is slightly more expensive than paying in dirhams, but the difference is negligible and it saves you from having to exchange money immediately. Remember, these buses do not accept bank cards and do not always accept US dollars. The downside of this option is that you pay per person, so it may not be ideal for larger groups. It can also be inconvenient if you're traveling with multiple large suitcases. I'm not sure if this is still the case, but Line 19 did not have a dedicated underbus luggage storage, as it is essentially a city bus. Option number 5. Regular Marrakech city buses. These regular buses require a bit of walk, about 500 meters, as they stop on the main road near the airport, but not directly at the arrivals terminal. This is the cheapest option, and it costs only 4 Moroccan dirhams per person. Yes, these are the local prices. This option is ideal for travelers with light luggage who don't mind short walk and a bit of waiting time. But there are of course a few drawbacks. You may have to wait for the bus, sometimes for a while, depending on the time of the day. It can be quite crowded with local passengers since it is a regular city bus. Also, there may be very limited space for your luggage, which of course you will have to take on board. And it makes many stops along the way, unlike the shuttle bus, which only stops at key locations. Additionally, you can only pay with Moroccan dirhams on these buses. Foreign currency and bank cards are not accepted. These are all the transportation options that I know of. Keep in mind that withdrawing Moroccan dirhams should be one of your first priorities once you arrive in Marrakesh, because Morocco is a very cash-based country. And if you haven't watched my video about travel tips for Morocco, I highly recommend checking it out. Now that you know how to get from the airport into the city, the next question is, where should you actually stay in Marrakesh? In the next video, I will break down the main options where travelers stay. explain what a riad really is and why it is the most popular accommodation. And I will also share the very first scam we encountered in Morocco while trying to reach ours. If you're planning a trip to Marrakesh, you don't want to miss that one. I'll see you soon. Bye.